Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Praise the name of YAH, the great and mighty King. Yeshua is. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. My, my. Get right with Yah. Let Yeshua show you how. Get right down. Welcome, my friend, you that have joined me, Weed, here tonight. Somewhat a warm day here in Jefferson, South Carolina. In the midst of our Mo'adim, we'll be celebrating feast days. And I'm here serving certain things I want to discuss tonight and talk. Because I do want to discuss, I know that most people are not aware. We have been taught certain things concerning the Mo'adim, the feast days, the times, the seasons. And I would say the vast majority of people do not know that there is an extra month added every other year. The 3rd year, the 6th year, the 8th year, the 11th, 14th, 17th, and 19th. And you will not have a 365 or, and that sort, what we call a lunar solar year. Yah gave us a lunar year. And the average time between those years, it will be 353, 354, and 355. I can prove all things to us, nation. And we have been beguiled. I was one that not intentionally lying to people, but I knew that there was something wrong when I would add a month every 2nd, 3rd, in that range of years to get it back to the springtime. Your leaders are not going to tell you that because they don't want to say that I was simply beguiled. I was ignorant. And so when I began to research things, I said something is wrong. I knew that people would turn against me in the sense that I'm coming with some kind of strange concept. I'm coming with truth. And so immediately people just turned against me. No, you're wrong. I simply ask anyone, it is not a challenge to tell me how many days from your last Pesach, Passover, to the next one. You will never get a 365 year. You will get a 353 day year, a 354, and a 355. Yah gave us a lunar calendar. And it would take, for instance, if you celebrated it 1 year in, say, April 10th, I'm just using that. And because of the way that they are set up according to man's logic, you will either celebrate them in April or either May. Sometimes the last part of March, you will get the March, April. And that's how it's set up. It is set up to deceive. It's full of deception. And I've never had anyone to even challenge me on that. Those that tell me I'm wrong. I had one man, he could not even express in his delusional state. Show me in Torah. That's all I ask. Just show me one sentence or one verse that prescribe that methodology. I will buy it. I have not found it. I have not. I've been preaching over nearly 45 years. I'm not a newbie. I wasn't born yesterday, so I've been around a little bit, people. And everything that I constitute I'm wrong, unless it's constituted by Torah, Scripture, Tshuwah. Whatever I think that it is, or my conclusion, it is absolutely wrong. I'm not right about anything unless it's under the diction of Torah, unless it is written in the Sefer, the book. Unless it's written there, it is wrong. I cannot calculate things that deny the order of Yah's time, the seasons, when the time of the seasons. It's wrong. There's a system that I have studied for many, many years. It is called the Metanech or the Metonic. It depends how you want to enunciate it. And the system consists of a leap year occurs 7 times in a 19-year cycle. That's when it occurs. And in that cycle, in the year 3, if you say first year, second year, the third year will be a metanech. It will be at least a 354 day or 365, excuse me, 3. I'm somewhat just miscalculated here for a moment. But you will not have a 363 day year. It will either be a 383, 384, or 385. And when they add that extra month, it will be a 383 day, 384 day, 385. What does Yah's year consist of? What is the timeline? How many days? I simply ask that question. And I know that we think we know. You've been taught a concept that is totally wrong. And when I began to research this many years ago, I said, how do I express this to the people? Because we get caught up in our religious, fanatical spirit. We will debate things that we don't even have any idea of what it is. There must be a leap month every second year or every third year, 2 to 3 years, you must add a leap year. It is called the metanech or the metonic. And it generally comes in year 3, year 6, year 8, year 11, 14, 17, and in that metonic 19-year cycle, that's a whole different teaching. I have hundreds and hundreds of pages. As a matter of fact, I have probably 1,800 pages on this one subject. Just this one subject. I was looking at, for a moment, the feast days of this year. I went online and just looked. And in the process of that, I looked at, if you would just go online, you that few of you, only 5, and go online and look up the word Jewish leap year, 13th month. It's easy to access. It's all over the internet. If I don't have 700 to 1,000 pages just on this subject, I don't have one page. This is how dear this has been to me, and a researcher dedicated to proclaim truth. Someone hears this, I would love for someone, and it is not about a challenge, but I don't mind one challenging me. Men have turned against me because they could not even deal with the fact that it is wrong. I'm here on Microsoft Bing. I have in the search engine Jewish leap year. There are 179,000 results. And the first page that popped up, listen, I'm going to be able to show you all how and where I'm at. I have our friend YAH coming from Texas to be with us for the feast days A new system I'm going to install so I can show you as I read and the pages I read from. I want you to understand, nation. I want to teach you. I'm not here to rob you or to steal from you, to try to get money. I live very well, simple but well, very well. I don't have a house with air conditioning. I'm sitting here in this small office with an air condition. I sleep like anyone else. And I'm living, and I live wonderful, and I'm healthy. I don't feel no ailments in my body, anything. I feel healthy. These are truths we must understand, and the leaders will not. And they are not going to discuss this with you. They have brought you into a delusional system like I was. And at the time of my coming out, bringing up, you did not even have the access to the material that I have today. I mean, there are tens of thousands of pages on this one subject here. I'm looking here on Microsoft Bing, and I have, they say, about 179,000 results. There are 179,000 pages just on this subject, the 13th month. I want to read this for us here. I got scriptures and all. This is from shalom.org. It says this: as a result, in the Jewish leap year, there are 13 months rather than 12 in a typical non-leap year. In the Hebrew calendar, he gave us a calendar, YAH did, that consists of the sighting of the moon, not the dark side when that slither, when there is a rebirth. This is the description from this organization that tells you, expressed to you, it's basically a Jewish calendar under the inscriptive title of Hebrew calendar. It tells us this, and I ask anyone, I beg of you, show me anywhere in Torah, in any writing of the Brit Hadassah, the old covenant of Abraham, whereby there's any indication or statement that it tells you to add 1 month into what we call the Jewish leap year. In a typical non-leap year in the Hebrew calendar, the additional month is a leap year, is added after Shavat, before Adar, and thus termed Adar 1 and Adar Rishon, whereas the standard is Adar because of Adar 2. This is Jewish Leap Year Shalom.org. You can find this information. You can find this. Here is one Jewish link news. I'm simply reading what I can find, what I've researched over the many, many years. This is what Jewish link or jewishlink.news says. It says, in practice, Adars are double, where in Torah that it tells us there's a double month. It is double. And so Jewish leap year have 13 months. This is a principle. That's why I titled this the Metanech, or the Metanic cycle. This Greek philosopher, not philosopher, but he studied the stars and the moons for 19 years, watching the position. His name was Meton, M-E-T-O-N, Meton. And so it is named after him. And there's a new system that has come online that most of the Jewish people and the religious organization, they're looking at that. That was some probably 10, 12, 13 years ago. And there are those that use that system. And there are those that the main one is called the Metanic, the Metanet, And there is one website that expresses that more than anything. It is called Chabad. It is called Chabad, Chabad.org. It is a site of Hasidic Jews. And this is one of the most principal major sites for Jews of any kind of Jewish stripe. It makes no difference. Has nothing to do with their persuasion. This is where the vast majority of the Jewish leadership, the site Chabad, Chabad.org. It is a Hasidic Jewish site. It is. Those are Hebrew Israelites that they identify with that mantra. This is the same system they practice. The very same system. And no one will discuss this because they don't know how to discuss it, and they are afraid to discuss it. There was a man, I assume he was my friend, we had fellowship, and I challenged him. I said, this is wrong, my friend, and he went ballistic on me. He could not prove to me. I said, I can prove what I'm saying. He went ballistic. So he disassociated himself with me. I did not disassociate myself with him because they're afraid to even answer that. And so we are all, I have beguiled in my ignorance. And there was something wrong as a young person back in those, young in this walk. And then when I began to examine, Nation, I have such powerful research. I'm not talking about many 10 or 12 pages. I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pages just on this subject. If I look, let me see, this is not even a tenth of what I have. Well, let me see how many pages that I have on this subject here, right this moment. I want to see how many I got just to teach tonight. It's about 12 pages tonight. 12 pages. And most people don't even have that kind of material. I want to stay on course tonight. We coming up to our feast days, and I said I would come online. We have to, nation. We have to know truth. We have to. I remind us all the time. And also there is a website called timeanddates.com. I would like for someone to call me tonight and tell me when did they keep the Passover in 2024 and when did they keep it in 2025. I've never been able to get someone to call me on that one because it's easily proven. Here is a statement. I want to quote scriptures. Somewhat relaxed in my small little office. I have a small little air condition. 77 degrees in here. I can't stand that kind of heat. And I'm talking, you will get sweaty, but that's not an issue with me. I want to read this from the Jewish calendar 13th month. 13th month. 13th month. I want to read this. Any one of you that join me tonight, the 7 of us, if you have not, or have you heard of the 13th month? Did you hear about me? Put a 1 in if you've heard of this 13th month. You don't keep the feast days with me. You just simply, I'll listen to Riyad David. He can become very ballistic. It is one thing that I know for certainty. The spring of the year, when many celebrate what they call the Mo'ads, the Feast of YAH, Passover. It would take us, if we did it the right way, every 33 years you would go back to the spring of the year. It would take that long to get back. 33 years old. sound familiar, doesn't it? The death of Yahshua. It sounds about correct. So we brace the cold, the heat, the rainy season, just like the trials of the nation journeying from Mizraim, Egypt, into the place that Yah had called for them. The calendar they had was the sighting of the moon. They counted their days by the visibility of the moon, nothing else. I want to read this for us. I know what I am talking about, nation. I'm not a young man in the sense. In the study of this book and the applications of this book, I'm an old man. Anytime one gets over 70, people can say what they want to. That person is old. He promised us that. And the average lifespan here in America for a man, it depends on his health, is around 75 years old. So if that's my standard, I literally have 5 years left to live. And there's a disdain for wise men. We can get in chat rooms and on YouTube and just talk with such foolishness. I will not participate in any activity like that because it is nonsense, it is childish. There's no wisdom being spoke. Same old frivolity and juvenile things. I want to read this concerning the Jewish leap year rules. This is from timeanddate.com. Date/Jewish leap year. That's where I'm reading from. And there are such volumes of material that you can read from. As I said to you, I searched just now the third Jewish leap year, 13th month. There is 179,000 results. And it is based on a man's objectivity, what he thinks is right. There is no 13th month in the system that we have learned. That's no 13th month. I want to engage here for a moment. It says the leap year occurs 7 times in the 19-year Methanic cycle. Namely, these are the years. From the first, it starts at the 3rd year, the 6th year, the 8th year, the 11th, the 14th, the 17th, and the 19th. Every 2 or 3 days, there is an added day or days for the reason because during the 385-day year, it adds to the front of the next year beginning at a 353. And so the 3rd year to the 6th year, there are 3 years that pass. The 6th to the 8th, there are 2 years. The 8th to the 11th, that's 3 years. The 11th to the 14th, that's 3 years. And then 3 years, and then 2 years. It must, and that's the way it is done. And you do, and you keep that same system. 99.9% of you, that's the way you celebrate. You've never asked your leaders. You've never even questioned, help me to learn. I want to learn. I hear this crazy individual. He calls himself Riyad David, Israel. He doesn't call himself a Zokin or anything, just a preacher of truth. And that's the way it is. This is called the Metanach, the 19th year or the 19-year cycle. This means a leap month is added every 2 to 3 years. You're going to have a month. So you're going to have Adar 1 and then Adar 2. April, you're going to have 2 April. Please explain that. Someone explain to this ignorant man How does that occur? And we know that there is no lie in Yah's truth. How are we going to get by that? He hates all liars. This system is based on fraudulent, they're not principles, fraudulent lies. And those in the masses of leadership, they know that we are ignorant. Excuse me, nation. They know that we are unlearned just like them. We're ignorant people. Nothing wrong with being ignorant. I cannot pull your Mercedes-Benz into our garage here. We have a huge shop to work on vehicles of all kinds and work on it. But I can't do that with your Ford's car. I can't. So that simply implies that I am unlearned. I do not understand the principles, how to engage, but this I do when we're talking about the Mo'adim, the feast days of Yah. And if we did it, I don't care what your inclination as to the organization, what your religious, and I use that term, religious order is, they would all come at the same time. It's amazing because Christmas is on the same day, December the 25th, all over the world. And one of the most prominent times and seasons, you tell me the days of Yah, there's confusion to his time. That's not so, nation. You may not love me or like me, but I'm telling you the truth. And this is the truth. It also says in this time and dates article, the Metonic or the Metonic cycle is a period that comes very close to the beginning of common multiples of solar years and the lunar year, the synodic month. Yah never speaks of a solar year in Torah. You will not even find the word there, solar year. It's not there. He gives us a lunary, a month of a synodic cycle from moon to moon. That's factual. How do we add? Who gives us the order to do that? These men, they are prophets and apostles, and yet they're very unlearned, man. I'm simply a messenger of truth. And that's what I speak. And I will not capitulate to any man and try to alter what Yah has spoken in this book. I will not do that. It talks about the deviations, the lunar month, 239, 235 months, period amongst 6,940 days. It also says this make it possible for Jewish time reckoning to approximately stay in the synodic with the solar year simply by adding a certain amount of full moons per Metonic cycle. Since 19 years with 12 months accumulates to 228 months. 7 extra months must be added. Do you hear that, nation? They add 7 extra months in a 19-year cycle. That's what you do. You add that to your time. This is what system I began this way. I knew it was wrong. I really didn't have people to fellowship with me, but at that time there were few that would come and fellowship. And when I began to expose this, none of them were a nation that we are offended by truth, but lies we will uphold them and pontificate in lies and say we're right. It's not right, nation. Come on, man, you call yourself leaders. You're not here with me tonight, but if you, by some chance, hear this messenger of Yah, you are absolutely wrong. There will have been some kind of implication throughout Torah that expressed this. I've never seen one. It's not in the Torah. It's not in the Brit Hadassah, the custom the renewed custom, renewed book of Torah is not the spiritual enlightenment of what we call the New Testament. Where is that? We have been bewitched to the fullest. We have been beguiled. And the reason why, nation, we are just not honest enough with ourselves to say, I don't know. I would tell people, and I don't say it with pretense, I'm an ignorant man. But I know when I hear the word that is of life and truth, my antennas go up. I know truth. I know how truth is deliverance. I want to read just a little farther because we are bewitched. And I am going to stay on this subject. I want to teach this more frequently. Exposing this system that is predicated upon nothing but dishonesty and lies, a bewitching of the minds of the people. Because as I am, we're ignorant individuals. We're just ignorant. Hear this from. This is from Judica Guide.com concerning the Hebrew calendar. I can prove all things by Torah, but I want to read from this. It says the Jewish Hebrew calendar. www.com Judica/guide.com Hebrew calendar. I want you to credit those whose articles I'm reading. It says, quote, the Jewish calendar is quite different from the Gregorian calendar. You use the Gregorian calendar as well until it's time every 2 or 3 years to add a month. That's what they use, period. The solar year, the Gregorian calendar, which is commonly used in modern world, unlike the solar year, which consists of approximately 365.25 days, the lunar year, that's what we and the Mo'adim are based upon that form, a sighting of the moon. It's not based upon what we call a solar year. You base Christmas on a solar year, it falls every year on the 25th, Monday through Sunday. Monday through Sunday, it falls. And he goes on to tell us here in this writing, the lunar calendar which is used in the Hebrew calendar only has, listen to me nation, please, you feel that here, there are only 354 days, 354, 354, 353, 354, and 355. It depends on the sighting, but it's going to fall within that range. He says 354 days. Each cycle of the moon around the sun lasts 29.5 days, to be exact, 29 days, 12 hours, 44 minutes, and 33 seconds. And therefore, some Hebrew months have 29 days, while others have 30 days. That's how Yah created it. That's a fact. He knew the cycle of time, and whereby time will always bring us back through the process of the witness of Yahshua HaMashiach, 33 years. You'll get back to that date every 33 years. Familiar, isn't it? 33 years. Then it goes on to say this. It goes on to say this. Some Hebrew months have 29 days, while others have 30 days. Moreover, the Hebrew calendar is not at all unrelated to the solar year. Well, you can say that in some regard, because there is a time of the solar visitation, but it's not based upon a solar calendar year. Although the sighting of the moon that period of time, there are solar events. He goes on to say there is a lot of importance to the four seasons. The Jewish religion, and some once every 3 years, add an extra month. That's what they do. Every 3 years there is an extra month added to the Jewish calendar in order to synchronize with the solar calendar. From the point of view, the Jewish calendar is both lunar and solar. He gave us a lunar calendar based upon the sighting of the moon. Certainly there are solar events, but he gave us a calendar to watch for the moon. He did not tell us to watch for the sun. And these are the things that have beguiled the masses of those that say they're Hebrew Israelites. They base things on a false assumption. The only thing that galvanizes, I'm not trying to offend the Hebrew Israelites, because I am a Hebrew born the Ruach of Yeshua HaMashiach, and I am a Yisraelite. I don't buy into the deception of their concepts. It's false, it's devious, and it's untrue. The Jewish calendar is both solar and lunar. In order to get back to the spring of every year, you got to have the concept of a solar calendar. You must do it that way. No, you shouldn't hear me. I'm not a novice. I do believe that my age speaks. Since a young man, I have been one to strive seeking Yah. When I was wrong, I would admit that I was wrong. When I was ignorant, there is no man will tell you how ignorant he is like me. I'm not one that you can hoodwink though. That I'm not. And we're ignorant in many facets of life. That's a fact. But I know what I'm saying. No man taught me this, because they will not talk about it. I've tried it with those that the fathers were preachers and the whole generation of their families have those kinds of people associated with their growth and this path of walk. I had no one in my family like that. No one. I've always been a student from this day to the first day. From the first day to the last day, I will be a student. And I've always examined this book. I examine Words Nation. Find a preacher that will talk about this with you. Let me take a sip of water, please. Find one preacher. Go to them and express, help me, tell me, how is it that the more dim, is it a solar year, a lunar year? They cannot tell you because they don't know. They're afraid to even discuss those things. These men today are afraid to discuss them. I don't care what they're hollering on corners and everywhere. These men are afraid to touch this. All I ask you, show me in Torah where it tells me to add a whole new month every second or every third year. Second or third year. Show me that. Every second year and every fourth. You add. And that's why you have a difference of time. 383 year that year. And then the next time a 384 year. And the next time a 385 year. To get back to that spring. And that's a fact, nation. That's a fact. And I am brazen enough to be a student enough to study these things and to show me how wrong I was and how wrong we are. And that's factual. I want anyone to challenge me, call me and show me where I'm going. When I revive everything, we will have this system set up. Our precious friend from Tennessee, I do apologize, from Texas, will be here for the feast days. And brilliant mind. He's going to set everything up for me, a new system and all. And we're going to get that in place. And then I will show you things where I retrieve even the information. You can read along with me. I want to be able to do that. Split stream as I'm looking now here, as I talk. There is one, it is called the Jewish calendar. It is called, it is at the site of https://ash.com or just ash.com. His name is Zevi Gluchen. Zevi Gluchen. And he makes this statement, nation. He talks about the Jewish calendar is sophisticated. Oh, wow. Y'all gave us the sighting of the moon. How sophisticated is that? There is no calendar that is sophisticated. There is nothing difficult about the solar calendar. It really isn't. He tells us this: the Jewish calendar is a sophisticated, accurate system that has been in use for millennia, and is also an important tool for spiritual growth. He says this, though, quote, the Jewish calendar is a type, not a type, it is simply that, unquote. It is, quote, a type of lunar calendar, lunar solar calendar, which is a lunar calendar with solar adjustment. Did you all just hear that? Us few here tonight. Did you hear that? Quote, a lunar calendar with a solar adjustment. I'm here right now. Let me examine the book and see if there's anything that talks about a solar adjustment. The word solar in Torah, excuse me, nation, the word solar, as far as the application of the word solar, it is not even mentioned in Torah. There is nowhere you can find that. Nowhere in Torah. It's not mentioned. Period. It's the type of a lunar solar. It's a type, it is, he said, which is a lunar calendar with a solar adjustment. To get everything back, we must implement in this process. We must implement extra months. It is the metanic cycle. We must put extra months in, nation. And that's just the truth. It is a sophisticated, accurate system. A system that is a lunar calendar with a solar adjustment. The word solar is not even in the Torah in that aspect. S-O-L-A-R. It's not. Why? He said, based on the synodic month or complete cycle of phases of the moon as seen from the earth, it is about 29.5 days. And that is calculated so the full moon ahead always land on the 15th of each month. To compensate the extra half day, the different Jewish months alternate between 29 and 30. If you do the math, 12 lunar months add up to 354 days. And that's just factual according to y'all's time. That's factual. Which is about 11 days less than a solar year, 365.25 days, with some type of adjustment. Where did Yah give us the power or the authority to make adjustments for his time? He put it in the Shemaim, the heavens above. That is what makes the adjustment. The moon does. We have no legitimate right to deceive the people and tell them and give them a falsehood that this is what Yah spoke to you. He speaks only by the power of this living Torah. You're not hearing Yah's voice. You're not hearing any voice. It's what you're imagining. And that's a fact. He's not speaking to this generation. And everyone hears from Yah. Well, he speaks to me all day, every day through this book. I believe it. And the words speak to me. Getting back to this nation, I want to talk a little while. He talks about the calculation of a full moon always land on the 15th of the month to compensate for the extra half day. The different Jewish month alternate between 29 and 30 days. And then he says, if you do the math, no, my friend, you must do the math. It is from one sighting to the next. That is the math. We can't add anything unto his word, and we can't take away woe unto us if we add anything to the word of Almighty Yah, or we subtract. You're doing both, my friend, and that's what we're doing, nation. That's what we're doing. We did it simply Yah's way. We all will keep the feast days on the same time. That's factual. Ramadan is kept every year, okay, where you are in the world at that time. And they use what we call a lunar calendar. Ramadan fall in every month according to our naming of months. In January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. It fall in the range of the 12 months. That's what it does. That's when Ramadan falls in. And that's just fact. I don't know where we make the adjustment. Let me read this on this conclusion of, not the conclusion of the article, what this says. They would travel around the calendar and come back at the same spot only once every 33 years. That's factual. If it happens in the spring, it would take 33 years again for that to evolve, revolving around Yah's Torah to come back to that time. Every 33 years, my friend. And that's a fact. You have manipulated it and polluted it. And there are no men. I know there are others because there are those that that will write me a time and say that. And they keep it in the order we do, but they keep it at different times. But that's all right with me. 33 years will evolve to that. Every 33 years. Factual. And so in our lifetime, maybe twice we live old enough. Maybe we live to be 100. We will have it in what we call the spring of the year, at least 3 times. And that's just the truth. Nothing else. I want to proceed a little further. It says this. This is from www.ou.org, Holiday Fast Esther, 13th Adar. I usually go to the Jewish sites and sites, and I retrieve their information. Most of the sites of those that are identified or identify themselves as Hebrew Israelites, and you must be of my skin hue from the Negroids in order to be a Hebrew Israelite. I got a teaching of multiple pages. I want to do a teaching on that. I want to take my time. I'm getting old. I am getting old. And so my strength is not like it was when I was 30 or 25. strong and growing in strength. And just to teach on that, where they were scattered into every nation among heathens all over the world. And I believe that American Hebrew Israelites, this is a new part of their doctrine, that the people of everywhere now, they're in Africa and on that continent, and that was the time that they would call them dirty, stinking Africans. I've been around longer than you, young man. All right? You're a young boy, and you think you know, you don't know. I will watch them dismiss every people. He scattered them, he scattered. Poets. If you take some carrot seeds and put them in your hand and fling them in a field, you don't know where they land. You probably couldn't find anyone. He scattered them in the earth, the world. Every nation, every place, every people, among every type. Cream-colored skin, Caucasian type, into Russia, into every place. He scattered them, China and all. His people, they're scattered abroad. They're scattered abroad. They're scattered. And that's the fact. I don't even know how people, their theses of the doctrine, how they are so consumed with that, caught up in it. And we are the Hebrews. They don't live together. It's one thing about Jewish people. They develop their conclaves and their homes and their vicinity whereby they balkanize and they live. You people of my hue, you just balkanize because of economics. Period. He scattered his people. The word puts. And if you take some seeds, small seeds, anything in the Borascus family, they're all black, and just sling them out in the grass in your front yards, you can't find one of them. That's where he hid his people. He did. Fact of the matter. No doubt about that. The Jewish calendar, I want to read here from this website, Jewish calendar. This is called the Orthodoxy, the Jewish calendar, Jewish Union, Orthodox Jewish people. It says here in this writing, the Jewish Hebrew calendar is quite difficult. Why? Quite different from the Gregorian, which is commonly used as the modern world calendar. Unlike the solar year, which consists of approximately 365.25 days, the lunar calendar, which is used in the Jewish Hebrew calendar, has only 354 days. And that's the cycle of that calendar. It only has 354 days. And it depends on the moon, 353, 354, or 355. The exact approximation, because I've been doing this for too many years not to know that. It says each cycle of the moon around the sun lasts 29.9 days. Same information. They all know it. To be exact, 29 days, 12 hours, 44 minutes, and 3.33 seconds. And therefore some Jewish Hebrew months have 29 days and others have 30 days. However, the Jewish Hebrew calendar is not at all unrelated to the solar year. There's a lot of information to the 4 seasons in the Jewish religion. And so once every 3 years, an extra month is added to the Jewish calendar in order to synchronize the solar year. From the point of view, the Jewish calendar is both lunar and solar. Everybody says the same thing. These are the same rules of every Jewish calendar or their feast days. And even among them, the dates are different. And that's just a fact. According to Jewish tradition, each day begins at sunset. That's how every day begins, with the people of YAH at sunset. and in at sunset, from sunset one day, from sunset Friday to sunset Saturday, what we call Saturday. That's the Shabbat. It's nothing to do with the name. It is simply the day. And that's how most Jewish holidays are celebrated. But when does a month begin? Rosh Chodesh. The beginning of a Jewish month occurs when the dark phases of the moon over a thin silvery moon, or a slither of moon appears. That's when it begins. There are those say it begins on the dark, but it begins on that light. Resonating, we see in that light. It is renewed. It's dark. There is no life to it. And that's what the word Chodesh, that's what it means, when the appearance of the moon. In ancient times, the beginning of a month was announced when two unrelated people stated that they had seen the moon. Nowadays, the beginning of each month and months of the year is known in advance, thanks to careful calculation that were introduced by Heliel. And that's a major story. He is one of the most prominent parts of this Metanac cycle. In the year of 359 BCE, before the Common Era, once every 19-year solar year, the Jewish year begins on the same day. A new cycle begins. Every 247 years, the Jewish and Gregorian calendar merge together with the day of the week, but even then the Hebrew year is 50 minutes shorter than the solar year. And for this cause, a very slow shift backwards, since the method is counting, was introduced. The time of the solar year in which the Passover is celebrated moved about a week backwards, direction of winter. Every season, the true Moedim of Yahweh do them like Yah commands us. They will be kept in the spring, the fall, the winter, and summer. And that's just the factual truth, nation. These calendars and this system, it is delusionally false. It gives us nothing but the moon. It doesn't give us sighting of any other object, or the stars, nothing but the moon. That's all he gives us, and nothing else, nation. And people will ask, oh, they're wrong over there. We're not wrong, my friend. We're right. And if you will look at your time and season, how you celebrate, you add a month every 2 to 3 years. You got to do it. You have to do it. You either have the Moed in March or April. And there those are different. They were having maybe in April and May. But that's when it falls. If you're utilizing the moon at all, I don't even understand how. I know my ignorance at that time. A novice not understanding this. But it's one thing that I am a man that research and search things out. Because I knew something was wrong. And when I began to search, I compiled hundreds and hundreds of pages. I'm telling you this, I have more than this. I have studies that I've studied this, not just read a few things, a volume of information. This is one by the name of David Zinberg. He is the one that the blog is called Jewish Standard. Times of Yisrael, Yael.com, 13th month. You can find what you need. to either debunk or concur and agree with what these men are saying. You can. You would challenge a man like me out of pure ignorance. You don't know. You haven't spent time. And most people, I will say this emphatically without any apology, they don't study this book. You may read something, but you must understand every word. Every word is so pure. And that's the only way we're going to develop that revelation sense. That when we read, we understand them because we understand the adjective, the pronoun, the verb. We understand the position of that. Looking at Luke 10:21, we understand what prudence is. Sunektos. That's the Greek. Sunektos. Sun, S-O-O-N, net, N-E-T, sunektos, T-O-S. Intelligent, having understanding, and wise to learn. That's what prudence is. And we as a nation of people, we tend not to understand the meaning of words if we're honest with ourselves, because we don't engage ourselves. We say, I'm educated. No. We don't engage with the activity of a word. We don't know if it's a verb now. We don't. That's why he gives us teachers and men that are learned, that they can teach, and they teach with a volume of knowledge. They're not novice. I want to read this from Mr. David Zinberg. He said, this year in 2019, an additional month of holiday, white space separates the usual 4 weeks between Tu B'Shvat and Purim. He says we are in a Jewish leap year, 2019. 13 instead of 12 lunar months. Do you hear that, nation? You have that. You don't have to challenge the person that leads the congregation, but I would ask him questions. How is it that, show me the mechanics of that. Just show me any place in Torah. There was one I was discussing that with the man got so defensive. My father, your father taught you wrong. I don't care what you say. I will not respect a man's opinion or some system that was implemented that is not under the auspices or under the guidance of Torah. I don't respect that. I will not disengage with the man, but I will not follow or fellowship in a lie like that, because that's what it is. It's false, it's delusional, and it's not real, nation. There is no man. I know that there are others that do it right. I don't hear no one on the internet. I don't go on the internet that much for things of that nature. I really don't. And that's the fact of the truth. I know there are those that their times are different than mine. I had one to call me that had visited me many years ago. And he was telling me about the group that they were in. And they were doing it the same way I do it, or we do it here. Again, I want to read this. I want to read this, a part of this article by Mr. Zinberg. He said, we're in a Jewish leap year. I explained that. He calls it, he says this, the 19-year cycle. He says the technical term is Imbu Lishmik, or intercalate year. Where is the word intercalate year in Torah? I ask anyone to show me that. An intercalated year. I simply want to know. It's not in this book that I read. Intercalate? Let me see intercalate. It says intercalated year. I don't see that in the book. I see it nowhere in the Torah. I have the Torah before me. I can find any word in this. I have an old program I've had. I don't know how many years. I can find any word, just type it in. You can retrieve a system or purchase a system like this. The scriptures today, especially from, I can't recall the place. I have one of the scriptures of theirs. sacred name. And you can get the CD, and there are places on the internet you can do that. Period. He talks about we are a Jewish leap year, 13 months, every 19-year cycle, technical terms, intercalate year, and year. But the traditional Hebrew is Shana mi ubrat. Shana mi umrat. A pregnant year. Maybe the most user-friendly. Show me anywhere in Torah. I will research that right now. Pregnant year. See if anything in Torah that speaks of a pregnant year. Put pregnant in, pregnancy year. Pregnant year. It's not mentioned at all. It's not mentioned at all in Torah. You find no word or no combination of word pregnant and year. You don't find it. It's called a pregnant year. Maybe the most user-friendly. And then he goes on to say, the need of an occasional. So dismissive to say that. Oh, it's not a big thing. But the need of an occasional 13-month arise from the major discrepancies. There's no discrepancy in this book between solar and lunar cycle. These are the scholars that write scholarship for the people. And we buy it. I did. Until I began to research this book, something is wrong. He tells me that 12 lunar months add up to 354 days. 11 days short of the roughly 365 and a quarter days of the solar year. Without periodically, frequently adjustment. You got to adjust that time. Tell me where YAH says in Torah we must adjust the time of his feast days. I can't find it, nation. The lunar months would march relentlessly backwards. And this is supposed to go backwards. Every 33 years. It's supposed to go backwards through the season, making it difficult for ancient Near Eastern farmers to prepare for the critical event on the solar agriculture calendar when sowing the grain. Isn't that amazing? That this is what, let me look at what needs to be sown. I will show you what needs to be sown. Let me look in this book. Hallelujah. This is what must be sown, and this is what we come to the Mu'adin for. It's some strange things that people say and how they galvanize certain false things that have nothing to do with YAH. This is what I want to read concerning Mark, what Yahshua speaks. And one of the parables that he spoke, I want to show you. He says, he talks to us as a nation. What he likened the kingdom of YAH in comparison, what he compares it to. He said, it is like a grain of mustard seed, which when it is sown in the earth is least than all the seeds that be in the earth. It is so small. That's what he said. And that's what this Torah is. It is a seed. It's not boastful and loud. It speaks in that still, quiet voice. We hear it, nation. We embrace it. I do. And I will not buy these false analogies that men call themselves scholars they have galvanized this type of rhetoric, and falsely place a 13th, that is demonic month. He goes on to say the need of an occasional 13th month. For those discrepancies, it must be done. Let me read this from Rabbi Daniel Lapin. Rabbi Lapin. He says this: the answer to your question is both yes and no. How can you get a yes and a no? Let your yea be yea and your nay be nay. Anything more or less than that, it is corruption. Most years, the Jewish calendar consists of 12 months, 7 years in every 19th year month of Adar, which is straddled between February and March, is repeated. Those year contains 13 months, including Adar 1 and Adar 2. Show me that in Torah, Adar 1 and Adar 2. Show me that, nation. These men are not honest with you. They know that we're gullible and they can't say anything, we buy it. We don't search things and study. There's very little time spent with YAH in this book. And if we are honest with ourselves, we will know what time we spend. We spend more time watching television and in Walmart than with YAH. We have no time for him. And I'm that brazen enough to tell you that you don't have to like me. I don't like me. How brazen this is from Mr. Lapin. The answer to the question is both yes, no. Most years the Jewish year consists of 12 months, 7 years in every 19-year cycle. The Metanech year, the Botanic cycle, Metanech, moon of Adar, usually started between February and all that. And it says, while the Gregorian calendar, with which we are most familiar with, add a leap year every 4 years, the Jewish calendar adds a leap month. These are the scholars of the Jewish religion. It makes no difference, the stripes. It doesn't. Extreme orthodoxy, somewhat liberal, it straddles the fence, but there's a code that everyone follows these codes. You that call yourself Hebrew Israelites of the hue of skin as dark as mine, you follow the same prescription. And that's a fact. This is Israel's Science and Technology Director. I want to read from the Jewish Studies Hebrew Calendar, PhD. Yes. The Hebrew calendar is based on both lunar and solar. Lunar-solar calendar. Months are measured by one revolution of the moon around the earth. According to the Talmud, once one complete revolution of the moon around the earth, it takes 29 and a half days. This value is very close to the average value measured by NASA, 29.530588, and the Jewish 059. Since the average value of about 29 days and a half per month alternates between 29 and 30 in the Hebrew calendar, and it gives us the table. I have all that. I will get things set. I want you to be more informed, nation, and I want to be able to show you what I'm reading and what I'm reading from. I dropped down that paragraph because he gives us the how the days and all are calculated. I mean, reading that, you need to see that. Talks about the solar cycle is precisely 365.25 days. And then in the cycle of the YAH's time is 354.36. 10, 8/8, 10 3/4 of a day. The difference. The synchronizing of the lunar counting of days with the solar cycle. Every 19 years, a leap year is added, wherein the month of Adar is replaced by 2 months, Adar Aleph and Adar Bex. Thus, a leap year in the Hebrew calendar includes 13 months. I don't see nowhere in the Torah where it talks about a 13th month. You can find that, please send it to me. I do not find that 13th day, but not a 13th month, nation. I don't find that. And this is a delusion that has been built on false pretense. The timing of a leap year is calculated periodically of 19 years. It gives us the formula and all of that. The doctor has. Then it tells us this. The leap year adjustment are not sufficient to prevent continuous drifting of the gap between lunar solar and solar calendars. To halt this drift, Dr. Irv Bromberg has proposed a 353-year cycle composing of a 9-year repeat 19-year subcycle, a subcycle turncoat by 11 years, by omitting 8 years containing in 3 leap year months. And a further 9 repeated 19-year cycles, subcycle. Dr. Bromberg has named the proposed reversion to recidify the Hebrew calendar. I would love to be able to show you this, nation. This is many years of research. It talks about the complete year. I have them. These are the concurrent. These are the current. The complete year list. The complete year began in 20, just from 20. But 2024 is the complete year. 2028, 2032. Those are what they call the complete years. You find that at Metonic Table leap years. That just type that in, you will find this. I want to read another article. This is Jewish calendar, a Navy military Jewish calendar. Just type that in, Jewish calendar dates, Navy military, /5/Jewish. The Jewish calendar that date from the time of Hillel, 359 BCE, AM 4119, is an official calendar of the state of Israel. Along with the Gregorian calendar, it is a lunar solar calendar based upon the computation calculation rather than visual observing and sighting of the young crescent moon. Were unused in ancient times. The initial epoch for the new moon, 11:20 p.m. on the meridian of Jerusalem on Monday, October the 7th, 3761 before the common era. Compared to the Julian calendar. The length, this is important. I want you to hear this, and we're going to close tonight. I just simply wanted to come talk. I knew it would be a few of us that come and visit the site and listen, but it is a legitimate site of truth. I've been around for a little while, so I've met every type. There's not one thesis I don't, excuse me, nation, I don't know why I'm coughing like this. Excuse me, please. I'm going to close with this. It talks about the length of a synodic month. Using the Jewish calendar is 29 days, 12 hours, 44 minutes, 3 and 1/3 second. The year of a Jewish calendar are counted in cycles of 19 years. This is a cycle from a Greek astronomer that he studied for 19 years. He developed this cycle. His name was Melton. And they call it Metonic. They named the cycle after him. I have hundreds of pages of study and research I've done over the many years on these subjects, of which 12 years are common years, of 12 months apiece, and 7 years are leap years containing 13 months. Altogether, the 19-year cycle has 235 months. Leap years are now fixed. See, they've generated a system, and you and those that you follow the same system. Tell your Reyak or your pastor, call Reyak Daiwin. Send them to visit the website. Tell those your friends. Because we have been begun. And when I began to teach this many years ago, there were people that left me. There were people that would come from all over to visit me. They would. From the islands, from the Jamaicas, and I've heard from them from Africa. The very first offering I got at that time when I began to teach these things, an offering came from a brother from an Islamic country. And he says to me, Riyadh Dawi, please don't write me back. He sent me $300. I've never heard from him again. I didn't write to cause some kind of reprieval upon him. He sent me $300 and encouraged me to preach, to tell this truth. And he stated, please don't write me back because I would be in deep trouble. To get a letter from somewhere in America, Yahweh's congregation, or even you. I appreciate you, Riyadh Tagweed. I love you. And that was the first and the only time I heard from him. I kept a copy of that check. I don't know what I did, but it's been so many years. I'm getting older. I was younger then, energized, and I could retain things. I'm getting old, and sometimes there are skips in moments, and that's just a fact. Hallelujah. Leap years are now fixed as the 3rd year, the 6th year, the 8th year, the 11th year, the 14th, 17th, and then the 19-year cycle when there is added days in those years. And that's what you do. That is what the system is predicated upon. Yah gave us a lunar identifier, the moon, of his feast days. He did not tell us to add. If any man add to this book, and the praise of Yah is going to be added, or if they take away from this book. If an ignorant man like me can learn these things through the many years, I have a volume of research on this. It's much more now than it was back in those years. You can find, just search engine 19th year cycle. No, just Jewish 13th month. As I said to us, nation, I simply did that because I do it all the time. I spend year upon year on these things. I put in Jewish leap year. Go to your system and just type in Jewish leap year. This is on Microsoft Bing. I don't care what system you use. And it will show you the list. Time and dates is an excellent site. I use that quite frequently. And not only that site, but I also, because of the Jewish, I use another cycle. It is called Chabad. It is called Chabad. I use that site because everything on that site is predicated upon Jewish scholarship. I'd rather get it straight from the horse's mouth, all right? Everything is predicated upon Jewish scholarship. One of the first sites I found, it was one of the first sites that I found. And I began to engage in that site, and I found so much in that site to substantiate my debate against that thesis in the line. And what I began, because I kept it just like you, and then when I said, no, I can't do that no more, then there were people that left. People that did not want to associate with me, and there would be hundreds of people come here. I'm not disappointed. I prefer to do the will of Yah. That site is called Chabad, Chabad, Chabad.org. Visit that site, and visit time and date as well. They have a volume of information. Some years ago, I but I researched everything. And there is a folder I put together. It's on my system. I don't know, it was probably 100 pages in that. I went to the depth of every corner, everything Jewish, websites, everything, just on 13th month. Just that. I searched. I put a volume of time in that. And it's not true. It's not. 353, 354, 355. That's what the year consists of. In a lunar year. And that's why you're going to have it fall back 11 days every year. 33 years, if it was on April the 10th, it takes you 33 years. You celebrate that feast at that time. It's amazing because you look at the Muslim, when they celebrate what they call their high Shabbat, their Ramadan, they use the same calendar. The lunar calendar. And they celebrate Ramadan. It may be in December, January, February, March, April, May. That's how they do it. It is no set date, like we have learned, like we have been taught. And those individuals that taught us, they didn't know that much, nation. And that's a fact. I'm going to stop here tonight. It's my throat. I have been working quite a bit today, not extremely hard, but I have worked, gotten some things done as I am preparing to get ready for the fall garden. Well, so much we can't even consume it all. We can't eat it all. Greens is just abundant. And get things planted this month, next month. Things like cucumbers, more cubes and all of that. So we'll have things to take us through the cold days and the days that are ahead of us. Nation, just, you daughters, get you some toads. Daddy, plant something, grow or something. Just try that. Grow something. Start them from seeds. Don't go to the store and buy them. Start them from your own little seeds. Get a 10 tray seed tray and plant 10 different plants and put them in pots. You set them in your yard and see the difference. See the difference. These pathogens that they're putting in food today, it's crazy. Akiwasadok was telling me a person that we would visit their website, and he had some of the most beautiful raised beds. Some pathogen, his whole garden this year, everything just died. These chemicals and all of that, we grow everything organic. We don't buy any kind of synthetic form. We do it organically. We really do. I do purchase organic fertilizer at times. It's quite expensive. It's not like, well, there is no cheap fertilizer today, period. In places like Amazon.com, I do use them, and eBay. There are a lot of people that are growing things organically, and organic seeds, place that I order all my seeds from. And I grow stuff. We put it up to young daughters. Y'all's will, I may put up a video tomorrow as I pick some things. They're calling for rain here today, and we may get that. But the gardens have grown so, I haven't seen this in a long time. The heat, the pathogen, and the death of plants. But this has been an abundance of a year. Another batch of corn coming up about 2-3 foot high. As tall as that. And we can plant. Let me see. Hold on for 1 second. You can get one of these and you go to the agriculture department of your state. And for us, it's the University of South Carolina in Columbia, South Carolina. It is a year-round growth and seed guide. And it tells me everything that we can plant here in Jefferson, South Carolina in every month, but December and January. That's not bad. We can grow our food. And November is the time you plant garlic here. October you plant garlic and mustard, all kinds of things, parsley, shallot, spinach, perennial herb, and all of that. September is just a crazy. Everything from beets, broccoli, cabbages, cauliflower, chard, dandelion, lettuce, mustard, onion, sets, parsley, peas, radish, salad mix, spinach. I love spinach, perennial herbs. You can plant all that. And August is a very hot month here. Everything from beans, beets, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbages. I have all this stuff out next month. I will, and then July you can plant everything from okra. The same thing in August. Okra, we'll plant more okra in August. Let us take it through the cold season. Maybe in July we'll plant okra. You can plant everything. Summer squash, winter, annual herb, celery, carrots. We can plant here, nation. It doesn't get that severe here. Every month from February to November you can plant here in Jefferson, South Carolina. And if you get you something like this will help you as the time to plant and when to plant. You can go to your agriculture, just go find agriculture school. And just go online and whatever zone you're in, this is the planting zone. I'm in zone 7. There's a zone 7A and a zone 7B. We're in zone 7. And that zone we're in run all the way up to California, Oregon, Washington State, Texas. I'm on that zone, the winds and the flow. You grow everything there. There's nothing. California, we're just like California. You can grow it every month here except December and January. You plant all your garlic in November. And I plant every month, I'm telling you. I wish you were near, you come get some of these collard greens and mustards and spinach and all that. May the riches of God rest upon you. Do support this ministry. It's only 11 here, but do strengthen the hand of this preacher. You know I'm preaching truth. I'm telling truth. But do send your gifts and tithes and offerings to this work. And I promise you, I don't spend it and waste it on foolish things. It's used for the enhancement of the work here. And that's the honest truth. I'm going to say to us all, Yabruk, be encouraged on this eve and look forward to the Shabbat of Yah. Have a great rest tonight. Yabruk, we are signing off. Yabruk Shalom.